Paulo Costa versus Israel Adesanya. How does this go down? Two undefeated killers in their prime, gonna find out who the true middleweight king is. So what advantages and disadvantages do these guys have on each other? Well, starting with the challenger, the narrative's kind of been that 100% of his game plan is just based off of his pressure and his boxing, and I think that disregards a lot of Paulo Costa's game. But I think the two things that are really important in this fight for him are actually just going to be his toughness and his coach. Eric Alberson has been doing a lot of good things recently since 2019, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's corny and his fighters are corny, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is results, and he's been getting those. Impressive ones, too. And I think he could do a lot with Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa was raw when he picked him up, and all the focus has been on him recently. They made that real clear. The reason I say his toughness is important is because the one time we've seen Israel Adesanya knocked out in his kickboxing fights, and he was finished by Alex Pereira, but it was a good fight before that, and Alex Pereira had to show toughness and grit to really get through to the point where he landed a right hook, left hook combination on Israel that Israel just didn't see the left hook and was KO'd cold. That said, Paulo Costa's got an 8-inch reach disadvantage, which Alex Pereira did not, which brings us to Paulo Costa's disadvantages. Obviously his reach. 8 inches is a massive reach disadvantage, and if you're throwing hooks, then you're also giving him more reach, which is primarily what he likes to throw. He does have those kicks to make up for it though, and if he uses those intelligently, they could do a lot of work. His cardio is still a question. Be more of a question if they try to grapple, which I think is the game plan they're going to go with, just because of the wrestling and BJJ references his coach has been making. The white belt that they threw at Israel Adesanya. If they try to make that the primary focus, I do see Costa gassing. That's the last time we saw him gas out was from grappling. And Adesanya is not an easy guy to take down at all. But the biggest issue I see with Costa is the two high-level fights we've seen from him, because Hendricks was on his way out. He's gotten hit by every straight shot thrown at him. He cannot defend a straight shot for his life, it seems. That's what Romero dropped him with. That's what Hall dropped him with. He kept piecing him up with that jab. And Izzy throws great straight shots. He's got a great reach. So he needs to be on top of that. And mixing in that grappling could definitely help, but it's not going to save you from everything. So that's where the toughness comes in. But the ground game isn't exactly a cakewalk, it doesn't seem. Israel Adesanya committed to a guillotine with Kelvin Gastelum and then almost nailed that triangle against him and deterred Kelvin from wanting to go to the ground again. He seems to have the submission skills, if not the submission wins. He has flexibility and he has cardio. So I do think that is an underrated part of his game. Now, the things that we do know, his amazing kickboxing skills, obviously, his footwork, his feints, his ability to never let you know where he is, those are all things that we're well aware of and we've seen time and time again. And he's such an intelligent fighter that if you show him any holes, he's going to see those quickly and he's going to take advantage of them. That said, the things that I think to really take into account in his career, it seems like everybody's headhunted him. Robert Whittaker, headhunted. Kelvin Gastelum, headhunted. Everybody shoots for his head and he beats you into it. But Paulo Costa has great body work, great body hooks, and great body kicks. So that's the first time we're really going to be seeing that. As well as, of course, if Paulo can grapple him and can hold him down as the bigger man. We haven't seen that yet. So finally, I want to give 3 ways each guy can win, then I'm going to rank those. So for Paulo Costa, I could see a TKO in round 1. What I was talking about with the grappling. If he's going to grapple, I don't see it being a sustained time. I don't see it being a submission win. It could be. For whatever reason, I think it would be ground and pound. So ground and pound round 1, just off of control and then just going and unleashing. Maybe knocking out Adesanya cold, or maybe just the TKO off of positional advantage. But if he does grapple, I think the more likely thing is TKO in round 2. Now this is just based off of pressure, I do think it will be a standing TKO, KO, depending. But if he mixes in the grappling, it's only going to better him. If he has a dominant grappling round 1, and then now he comes out with those boxing combinations, with those kicks, with that good forward pressure, good forward footwork, inability to be deterred from moving forward, and you've got to think about the grappling, that is when it gets hard for Adesanya. So if that is the game plan, that might actually be his best bet at winning the fight. And his third choice is a KO in round 3, but that's off of him getting tagged up a lot and having to show that toughness, and really just Adesanya getting overconfident, overextending, and getting caught by maybe a lead hook or right hook, just something in close, off of his own overconfidence. We haven't seen that from him, so it's kind of a shot in the dark. But I do think that he is susceptible to like the same thing Anderson Silva was, with just kind of playing around a little bit too much, being a little bit too relaxed, being a little bit too overconfident. And you can't do that against Costa. You can't do that in general in this day and age, but definitely not against this top tier, hungry fighters. They're just not going to play that. You're going to leave yourself open and you're going to get caught. So that's the third way I could see him winning against Adesanya. Now for Israel Adesanya, I have a submission, which kind of comes across as a wild card. Definitely kind of is. But it's also, if Costa commits too heavy to grappling and gets tired, Adesanya can throw up some submissions. I mean, he's got leg dexterity. You can't throw a question mark kick if you can't move your legs quickly. And he explodes into that triangle very quickly. I think his guard is something that we're going to learn about at some point, and we're going to be surprised by it. And this might be the time we're surprised by it. So I could see a submission. I'm going to say triangle submission just for the fun of it. And I'm going to say that's in round 4 after Costa really tries to grapple. Or we'll say round 3. And then I have a decision. I could see it either being a very dominant decision where he just can't finish Costa, or one of those situations where Costa comes out like a bat out of hell and tires himself out, and Israel's got the heart, he's got the skill. Rounds 3, 4, and 5 go to him after dropping round 1 and 2. And the third is a TKO late in the second, early third maybe, but through straight shots. If I see that opening, I'm sure he'll see it. And if he's landing that, if Costa hasn't finished that, and Costa's moving forward on straight shots with a guy with longer reach, that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, look at Aldo versus McGregor. It was a straight shot that Aldo sprinted onto, and I don't expect Costa to sprint onto a shot, but still, kind of gives you an idea of what forward momentum can do with straight shots. So, if Costa does that, I do not see him winning. Unless he follows that game plan and really just nails it with the grappling. But still, that's just such a massive hole, and that's going to play into my rankings. I do think that Israel Adesanya wins. I'm going to say late second, early third, through a straight 1-2 combination leading to a flurry and a TKO. I don't see him knocking him out cold like he's saying, but I think he's going to land straight, he's going to land flush, he's going to hurt Costa, and Costa just is going to get overwhelmed by a flurry and get the TKO. And then there's the rankings for the rest. So yeah, if you liked the video, I really appreciate it. If you have any criticism, I definitely appreciate it, as long as it's fair and not just saying, you suck for no reason. Yeah, anything you say, I appreciate. I'll take care.